Where are we now? Mia, where are we now? Universal Studio.
Universal Studio.
Oh, right. We're early. We are at Universal Studio. Papang is dancing now. There's King Kong, Mia. There's King Kong. Look at that. Ah. Pardon me? No, oh yeah, it's fake. I know. It's fake. Yeah. Ooh, don't say it to Ading. Do not talk. Do not talk. I smell of the coffee. There's the globe. Oh, media building. There's your Nintendo World, CJ. Look at the car, Mia. It's upside down. Meh, cow, moo. Ha? Malamig ka? Butangan ka ng jacket. Kitty. Super Mario! Hurry up! Kasi Super Mario ito 10 in 10 minutes eh. Yeah, no, it's free. You can just go in. You have to line up. There you go. Yeah, you could. Let's go downstairs. Mia, hello. Hang yung ano kataglugan. You wanna go right? No? You have to go right in there.
We can go in.
Get down, Mia. Go. Just take a picture then. No. Just visit the... Are you hungry now? Ooh, look at donut. You wanna take a picture there? CJ, take a picture with him. Tignan. Ikatom, Isuna. Ikatom. Bumabati ta ba ba? Jurassic. Let's go to Jurassic Park. Buwan, isideta. Ampay nga kwa. Buwan. Buwan. Dijada yung kwa. Kaya natamapan dita suntay tababan. 11 katay tumuli tayo ito. Ito yung mapantay ito pa. See, Jurassic Park, there's not much lineup. Yeah, Jurassic. The Mummy. Nakakaramandeta nga rides. And then, there's your Transformer. Go! That... Oh, there's the Starbucks. Can we buy coffee? Malamig ni Papang niyo. Nagamatang kape ah. Oy, we're gonna go Starbucks. Pang, let's go. Scary. Turut. We're going for a tour. More no more. Mia, hello Mia. Mia. Hi.
Alrighty, folks, we're gonna be hitting the road indeed.
Now listening to the blues riff and beat. Watch me for the changes and try to keep up, okay?
1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty, folks, we're giving your double thumbs up. Look to your left hand side of the channel. Wave goodbye to all the people waiting in line. By Malcolm D. Lee. Malcolm D. Lee, he's what's proudest movies like A Girl's Trip, The Best Man series, and you know who Malcolm D. Lee's cousin is? Spike Lee. Yeah, clearly a lot of talent runs in that family. Now, speaking of family, on the left are passed by Soundstage 25, and that's where two family members film a TV show together. That is George Lopez and his real-life daughter, Maya Lopez. That's where the TV show Lopez versus Lopez films their show. Now, that is one of the many shows here in Hollywood that film in front of a live studio audience. So if you've always wanted to see how a TV show gets made in person, or see a celebrity in person, get tickets to be an audience member for some of those shows. Find me after the tour. I'll show you some websites. You can sign up to get free tickets for stuff like that, all right? And now next door to Soundstage 25 is Soundstage 26, and that's where the brand new comedy St. Dennis Medical films their show. Now, this is where they film the majority of their TV show. 80 to 90% of a show or a movie is filmed inside of a soundstage. Anytime you see a character on screen and they're inside of a building, usually a set built inside of a soundstage, kind of like that hotel lobby I showed you earlier. But sometimes, you need to see those characters outside, walking down a city street with big buildings around them, right? Well, if you look to your right, that's exactly what we can film that here at the studio. On NBC, this hospital here on the right is literally St. Dennis Medical. That row of apartments there, that is called Brownstone Street. You might recognize those buildings from movies like Bruce Almighty or Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. But friends, this is incredible. Now, remember earlier when I said if we're loud enough for Arlene, she was gonna get us some extra special behind the scenes access? Well, it's happening right now.
It's like a hospital.
We are currently on the same exact street that Marty McFly drove on in Back to the Future to get 88 miles an hour so we can catch the bolt of lightning, get 1.21 gigawatts to go back to the future. Everybody, welcome to an area of the tour that we call Courthouse Square. But if you're a big fan of Back to the Future, you'll recognize this as the town of Hill Valley. And on the left, you see that building right there? That is the clock tower that Dr. Emmett Brown had to dangle from.
It was actually the back lot of Courthouse Square that inspired the entire climax of Back to the Future.
I had seen
Like
up
so
in the
real,
clock
huh?
tower on that ledge. This ledge about that wide. And I was standing inside looking at the ledge, and I already had vertigo. I just thought there's no way in the world, no way I'm going to stand on that. I was up there for quite a while. Of course, I had a cable.
Of course, while this area of Courthouse Square is best known as being Hill Valley, you have seen it get used in multiple productions, right? Of course, there's Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly looking up at the clock tower. But this area is also used for the movie Psycho 2. Yeah, Norman Bates was back here. To Kill a Mockingbird film scenes right there in those Courthouse Square steps. Jim Carrey's been back here for Bruce Almighty. Yeah, and of course, in 1990, there's a futuristic version of Hill Valley for Back to the Future Part 2. Now, if you're a big fan of the movie Gremlins, you might recognize Courthouse Square as the town of Kingston Falls, right? Or if you're a big fan of Jennifer Love Hewitt, right? If you might have watched Ghost Whisperer on CBS, that area is also the town of Grandview. But recently, the TV show Ted on Peacock, they've actually been filming a lot of scenes in Courthouse Square, as well as the street that we're about to go visit. Take a look.
Hi everyone, Seth MacFarlane here, and I'm excited to share with you a behind-the-scenes look at my Peacock original event series, TED. It's a prequel series set in 1993. And that means our skilled craftspeople had to build a high school, a house, and even recreate downtown Boston as it looked back in the day, using exterior sets and facades that you're about to see on the tour. But I should warn you, TED is intended for mature audiences only. So grown-ups, tell the kids to go in the other room before you watch. Oh, come on!
So folks, the area of Courthouse Square that we were just in kind of has more of like a small town kind of vibe to it, right? But the next block over, literally like 50 feet away, is a street that we call New York Street. And this is where you get to film big city scenes, right? Now, a lot of people are probably wondering, well, wait a second, why do you have an entire like downtown street here at the studio when you literally have a downtown here in LA? You have downtown Los Angeles. Why do productions just film down there? Now, they absolutely can, right? That's called filming on location. That's on location filming means it films out of the real world, not in the studio. But when you film on location, you've got to get city permits to block off the city streets, right? If any stores are affected by those street closures, or they're on the block that film's happening on, they've got to close down while filming happens. So then all of that production has to pay a fee to each of those businesses closing down for a certain number of days. On top of that, you've got to make sure you find a large parking area to park all of your cast and crew vehicles, like the trailers and things like that. And then you've got to bring generators out to power up all of your equipment. And because you're filming out of the public, you got to get extra security on hand to make sure that fans don't try to get on set to meet their favorite celebrity. So instead, to have a little bit more control of their environment, a little bit more secrecy even, they can film right here on what we call New York Street. Now, even though the street is called New York Street, it doesn't just have to play New York on camera. Depending upon how the production designer designs how these buildings are decorated, it can really play any city around the globe. It's played El Paso, Texas for the movie The Forever Purge. It's played my hometown, the city of Chicago, for the movie The Blues Brothers. And this street has even played in London for the movie Fast and Furious with Hobbs and Shaw. Now, if anybody here is watching American Ninja Warrior, you should recognize these buildings because this is where they built that entire obstacle course where they film episodes here at the studio. Now, let's do this. So let's get Jimmy Fallon, our co-host, back up here to show you what the street looks like when it's decorated to be New York.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there. That old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here. It's cool, guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
So that corner. Oh yeah. This red one there.
Alright folks, so that was fun to watch that as like an audience member, but we're going to go out and play this back. I'm going to turn the volume down on it, and we're going to go back through and watch it with a little bit more of a keener eye, alright? So let's take a look at all the things that were added to this street to make it look like a real bustling city. So right away, Jimmy Fallon comes up on screen, but ignore Jimmy for a second. Look behind him, right? You'll see that they added parking meters onto the sidewalk to make it feel like a real city. In front of the storefront, they added some awnings with color on there to give you a pop of color. There's a couple of signs back there to kind of make it look like there's some sales happening. There's a little plant there as well.
Yeah.
Now, over to the right-hand side, or left-hand side of Jimmy, you'll see an actor, right? And what are they looking at? Well, they're looking at a table of props. Yeah, I call those props. They're books, but they're props. Because anytime an actor handles something on screen, it's called a prop. Now, there's a table full of books there. You know, you as an audience believe that the store she's in front of is a real bookstore because it says little bookstore in it. They got books hanging in the window, but I guarantee that the interior of that building is not decorated. How come? Well, the camera's not going inside of there, so no reason to decorate something that the camera's not going to see. All right, now as Jimmy continues moving forward, we got another actor in the background on his phone, right? Is he actually on his phone? Probably not, but he's acting like he is. Move forward a little bit more, some more actors walking in the background to fill up that space. You got a featured actor here who gets a couple of lines with Jimmy as well. Doing a great job of pretending like there's actually hot dogs or something in that water. Now, right before Jimmy gets almost hit by that cab, look behind him again though, right? You've got like a garbage can, you've got a sign up there that says Ray's Tavern, and then of course we've got that half taxi cab as well. So it's kind of a fun way to kind of watch movies in a sense of like, you know, if you look at it from a production standpoint, think about all of the work that the crew does behind the scenes to make the street look realistic. Now speaking of realistic, as we're sitting here underneath these buildings, they look real, right? They look like they're made out of brick, marble, iron. They're not. Remember, you're in a movie studio, so nothing is what it seems. Really, the only buildings that are made out of like an iron structure or steel structure are going to be the glass buildings to the right-hand side of the tram that are kind of to the right and behind cars 1 and 2. But for the most part, the rest of these buildings are wooden structures, all right? What looks like brick, really just giant sheets of plastic that are going to put through a machine called a vacuum form. That machine will heat up the plastic, mold it into brick shapes, it gets painted, and then glued onto these wooden structures. What looks like kind of like marble or concrete is really just plaster on top of that wood. We use materials like plastic, plaster, and wood. That way it's easier for us to be able to redesign and rebuild these buildings for different movies and different TV shows. Yeah, that's because a production, they can come back here, right this street to film on, and they can completely destroy these buildings if they need to. They can crash a car into one of the storefronts. They can have an explosion happen and blow out the windows, right? Not only that, on top of that, even the street that we're sitting on right now is fair game to destroy. Here, check this out. Take a look, see what the movie The Blues Brothers did to New York Street.
When the Pinto fell, and you saw it land and you make this big hole in the street, that was on the back lot. You dropped it from a crane. You dig like that in Chicago,
Not a good idea. Wouldn't be
people ask me, all of the movies I've ever done, what was the most satisfying and the most fun, I've got to say Blues Brothers. We got to sing, we got to dance, got to drive, and train with the best stunt people in the world, and got to be an actor and a writer. So it was a good piece of work.
Danny called John America's Guest because just you walk in anybody's house.
During the shooting of the movie, John was missing. We couldn't find him.
Danny went off looking for him, saw a light on in this one house, knocked on the door.
I said, sir, we're doing a movie down here. We're looking for one of our actors. Oh, John, yeah, he's on my couch. He came in, he had a snack a couple hours ago. He's sleeping. He was America's Guest. I mean, literally that happened.
Yeah, I love the Blues Brothers. You heard me mention that I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, so the Blues Brothers means a lot to me. And it's such a fun movie to watch with a lot of the great musicians that are in the movie. Cab Calloway, you got Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin. Now, speaking of great musicians, a lot of huge pop stars have sung and danced on this street. Yeah, so not only is this street used for movies and TV shows, a lot of music videos have been filmed out here as well. Taylor Swift, she filmed part of her music video with the song Wildest Dreams on streets for that movie. But here we go. We're going to be heading up this hill, taking you back to Skull Island. Alrighty, folks. So before we do anything, just a quick reminder again to please remain seated and hold on tight to your valuables. All right. I don't want anybody dropping their phones or the cameras inside of Skull Island, because now that the tram is about to enter into what we call an attraction on the tour today, this is when I am not allowed to exit the vehicle to retrieve any dropped items on the tour. Okay, so if you drop your phone or your camera inside of an attraction, unfortunately that phone or the camera will be staying inside of that attraction. So please hold on tight to your stuff.
Universal Trail Skull Island, allowing visitors a little sneak peek at some of the wildlife of Skull Island. In a sense, this is like a mini sequel. A mini continuation. We're just taking the Kong and Skull Island and the dinosaurs that we established in our feature film, and this is another day, another incident on Skull Island, using the creatures and the character and personality of Kong as he appeared in the movie. We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. You know, he is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart.
Alrighty, folks, if you're ready to experience King Kong 360 3D, make some noise!
Ayan na, Masay. Ooh, spooky. Sounds effect mo lang, Teta.
everybody. Let's make some noise for King Kong 360.
Good job!
Well, they actually built a bunch of walls around that little patio area, painted them green, and then using visual effects and post-production, they actually were able to include the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Alrighty, folks. Now, on the right, we're passing by an incredible work of art painted by Tristan Eden. This is an homage to a classic Universal Monsters. We'll be talking a little bit more about our monsters in just a little bit, but I want to let you know that this wall art, painted with nothing but cans of spray paint, and was all done freehand. How incredible is that?
Wow.
Now, if you look to your left, we're passing by a couple of more sound stages where some more TV shows film. For models from all over the world, and the license plates on the back can change this area. Anytime you see a car on screen on a movie or a TV show, that's called a picture car. Remember that term. We're going to be talking about some picture cars later on, all right? And then finally, the flags that are flying around the area can definitely transform Little Europe to look like any location around the globe. It can even be a fairy tale location. For my fans of Princess Diaries 2, A Royal Engagement, I'm sure you've always wanted to visit the land of Genovia, right? Well, congrats, you just did it. You just visited Genovia.
Like you're
The
in
road the
Italy.
train was actually driving on. The same parade route that Anne Hathaway walks in that movie. Or maybe you're a big fan of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, starring Whitney Houston, Brandy, and Paula Montalban. Yep, some of that film right there in Little Europe as well. Now, if you're watching TV, you might have spotted Little Europe in a couple of commercials. So there was a beer commercial playing a couple of months ago that starred Pedro Pascal. Now, this commercial made it look like Pedro Pascal was running the...
That's what the earthquake 19 in San Francisco.
That's right, people. We're talking about the movie Jaws, and you're about to be in the middle of that movie, but at the part where we've already caught that killer shark. Yeah, if you look over to the right, you can see that shark just hanging out. And in fact, to prove a point to everybody, to show you that there's nothing to be afraid of, we've sent police diver George into the water. There's George's boat. Oh, and cool, look, there's the shark. Wait, what? There's a shark? Oh no, George is still in there. Everybody, I need your
look
help.
at the-
On the count of 3, shout George. 1, 2, 3.
George!
Thank you, George. Buddy, there's a shark in the water coming right towards you. You might want to... George? Oh, everybody, this is terrible. George was such a beautiful person on the inside and out. And now George's insides are out. Alrighty, folks, we've got a plan. We're going to pull forward and we're going to hide behind these super safe barrels of gasoline. Now, in the water, that barrel right there is full of shark bait. All right, the shark's taking it, and I was taking it off with it too. Wait, is that gas pump loose? Everybody, look out! Everybody, you just survived a shark attack from Jaws. Now, a lot of people think that the movie Jaws
Look,
filmed
the
right
shark.
here in the night. That movie filmed on location. It filmed on the east coast
Oh,
of the country
the
in Martha's
shark.
Vineyard, and a lot of that movie was filmed in the Atlantic Ocean. This is a theme park attraction that was added to the tour about a year after the movie Jaws came out in theaters.
Oh,
now,
the
we all know
Jaws.
that the name of that shark is Jaws, right?
There.
But Steven Spielberg, the incredible director behind Jaws, he gave that shark a nickname. He nicknamed the shark Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah, he named him Bruce after his longtime lawyer, Bruce Raymer. Because what is scarier than a man-eating shark? A Hollywood lawyer. Now, show of hands, who here has seen Disney Pixar's movie Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Everybody, what's the name of the shark in Finding Nemo?
What's his name?
Yeah, it's your fun little homage to the original shark from Jaws. Alrighty, folks, now, in this area that we call Old Mexico,
Dito yan,
this is
dito
where
yan.
we like to show you how we make it rain in movies.
Yeah.
Now, if you look to your left, we got a storm rolling in, right? That's a lightning flashing. That's just being created from strobe lights turning on and off. We got the thunder booming. That's just coming from speakers that hit throughout the area. But now let's add some rain. The rain is falling
Sika mo
from
tatama ba sa
spring
tado?
we'll call these
Papal
rain
mo eh.
rains. Rainbows,
Rain.
sometimes
Oh my God, it's raining.
Rain is very
Oh.
difficult to capture on camera, and it's not because your equipment might get wet. It's because cameras have a hard time seeing raindrops. It's kind of like when you're watching a football game at home on your television, and you notice you're seeing it's raining. You can never see the raindrop.
It's raining.
That's because that rain is not properly lit. In order to make the raindrops appear on camera, you got to put a light source from behind the raindrops to make them shimmer and shine, and that way they
Woohoo!
Hey, yo, Tommy. Gotta turn
Oh,
off
there's the water
Everything
coming.
overflows and everybody gets super soaking wet.
Wow.
Looks like
Oh
Tommy's
my
on
God.
break. It's a flash flood. Look out.
Wow.
All right, folks, I'm not right now. They planned the flash flood, and you might recognize that the movie Big Fat Liar. Look at your screens.
Look at that.
It's breaking news. I need to pause you about it for Big Fat Liar. If you're a fan of Lady Gaga, you might recognize this flash flood effect as well, because she stood in the middle of all that water when she used to play music video for Salt and Juice.
Oh.
All right, folks, we're going to say adios to old Mexico, and now we're going to say howdy to 6 Points, our western set.
Mexico.
These streets up here have been used by some major stars. Mae West filmed My Little Chickadee back here.
Oh, yeah,
Jimmy
that's
Stewart
right.
from Dusty Rats Again back here. And a few years ago, Leonardo DiCaprio, Julia Butters, and Quentin Tarantino, they were back here filming scenes for Sony's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In fact, you know who else has been back here? Our co-host, Jimmy Fallon.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Jimmy Fallon.
Well, I ain't going anywhere, Jimmy Fallon.
Bang.
Now look here. Nice folks in this tram don't
Sit
want
there
no
na
trouble.
nakasitingin
They just
na
want
eh.
to check out 6 Points, one of the oldest sets on the Universal line.
I hear this is where John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart shot a few of their westerns.
That's right. That's where I aim to shoot here.
Looks like we got ourselves a Mexican standoff. Lucky shot.
Now what say you mount up and get out of town while the getting's good?
All right. Well, I'll see you again, fella.
Or you can count on it, fella. Now get.
Hi folks, I really love this video. It's another great way to highlight all the work that the arts department does behind the scenes, right? So this was filmed where we currently are, but what's really different? That's because the art department added things like wagon wheels, tumbleweeds, barrels, and boxes. In the background, actors were brought in and hired to fill up the space, and they've got the correct hair, makeup, and wardrobe on. We even had a black and white horse on set that day, right? But there's one huge thing that was added to make it look like a realistic Western road, and that's all that dirt. Yeah, all these roads for special behind-the-scenes access. Well, it's literally happening right now. You might have heard me mention that it's kind of hard to bring a tram into a soundstage, but not for Arlene. She's one of the best drivers out here, and she has pulled a bunch of strings for us and brought our tram into a real working soundstage. So this is Soundstage 50, the only 2-floor soundstage in all of Hollywood. The downstage below. All right, everybody, sorry about that. Remain calm. Look, we get tremors like this. Whoa. All right, everybody. I don't think this is just a tremor. I think this might be a big world.
Wow, look at that.
Now, this was during a period of time when Universal Studios was making a lot of disaster movies. So in December of 1974, this kind of round car here. This is M Toretto on it. That really wasn't used in any of the races. That was used in Fate of the Furious. You saw him in the background sitting on a lift when they're in a garage. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise, and some of those cars that you see in those movies are a lot of fun.
Yung Back to the Future. Ayun lang ata. Ulok ka. Flintstone. Jurassic Park. Oh, they did a Back to the Future.
We're excited about the upcoming finale to the Fast franchise, right? I don't know what the last movie is going to be called. It's going to be called Fast 10.2, Fast 11, who knows what to call it, but I'm super excited about it. Vin Diesel on his Instagram actually recently just announced that he's going to be directing a prequel to the finale, because after the fourth movie, he actually directed a small little prequel to kind of explain where Vin Diesel had been for movies technically 2, 3, and before 4, called Los Bandoleros. So it's pretty exciting that the studio has asked him to direct another small little like prequel to the finale. So we'll see how that goes. All right, folks, well, I do want to let you all know now, about maybe 15 minutes away from the end of the tour, going to be returning to the theme park shortly. A reminder again to please remain seated. If you do need assistance, pull the cord to get my attention. Now, folks, keep those cameras out, because as we turn the corner, you got a bunch of stuff to look at. Somebody in my front car got very excited seeing our very own official scale replica of the Hollywood sign. But to the right, you're seeing some movie history. We've got the Psycho House, the original Psycho House up there on top of the hill. And we've got Norman Bates, the owner and operator of the Bates Motel, friends.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is incredible. Norman Bates is... Oh, where's he going? Norman, we're going to promise we're not going to say a word to anybody. Oh, but we do want to say hi to your mom, all right? So, friends, if you look over to the left-hand side of the tram, you might see Mother Bates taking a nap in the second floor window of the Psycho House. Plane that is surrounding the tram right now. This is a real 747 airplane that was purchased and then chopped into pieces for Paramount Pictures' War of the Worlds.
The airplane crash is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around the vision of Steve.
Sit down and talk about War of the Worlds. I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in the big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
So yeah, they actually did film a scene for War of the Worlds right here at the studio, and that is going to be playing on your screens right now.
Good. Close your eyes, okay? Down close.
Bobby, get in. Get in.
Wow. This is fun.
War of the Worlds, an incredible movie on your screens. You just saw Tom
of the
Cruise,
Worlds.
Dakota Fanning, and Justin Chatwin from the TV show
War of the
Shameless.
World, guys.
Now, I told you that this is the real 747 airplane, right?
Oh, this is a real
Let's all play
one.
a little game together. In your heads, come up with the price tag of what you think it costs to buy an entire airplane. All right, you got that number in your heads? The production for War of the Worlds, they had to buy this plane for $60,000. 60,000 bucks. That's a pretty good deal on a plane. I mean, that's cheap for a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Now, the reason they got it for so cheap is because they found it sitting in an airplane graveyard up in the Mojave Desert. It turns out that the plane was decommissioned, meaning had too many miles on it, was too old, so it wasn't allowed to be flown anymore. They basically bought the plane as scrap metal. Now, in order for them to transport it from the Mojave Desert to right here for filming War of the Worlds, what they did was they chopped the plane up into 4 separate pieces. They put it under the backs of some giant flatbed semi-trucks, and then they simply just drove it down the highway from the Mojave Desert to right here. Now, while we were looking at the plane, you might have noticed that the roof was missing, right? A lot of people think that the roof is missing because the alien tripods ripped the roof of the plane off to pick out all the passengers. Well, in reality, the roof is missing because they had to remove it to make sure that it fit underneath the highway overpasses when they drove it down the highway here. Once it arrived, the crew said to Mr. Spielberg, hey, we'll put the roof back on, but Steven Spielberg, being the artistic genius he is, he thought, you know what, actually, keep it off. It's going to make for a more creepier, kind of eerier environment of Ireland. That's why the roof is gone. Now, we've been so fortunate here at the studio to work with some incredible directors throughout the years. I mean, folks like Amy Hepburn for Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Spike Lee for the movie Do the Right Thing. We continue to work with incredible directors and Jordan Peele. Right, so back when Jordan Peele was making the TV show Key and Peele for Comedy Central, a lot of those sketches actually filmed right here.
Nope. Hell no. Nope.
And here's Jordan Peele to tell us what it takes to make a Hollywood movie.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Park. Over there, look into the Winking Well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Sheriff. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? What? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso Experience, built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. Behind this Hollywood fantasy, are the frontiers now, lies a sinister secret. Welcome to the world of no business.
Key and Peele on out of here because it's time for us to get out. You like that wordplay? Nope.
Nope.
All right, folks. Now, while these aren't the actual sets of Jupiter's Claim that we're using in Movie Nope, this isn't where the Movie Nope was filmed. It was filmed on location in Agua Dulce, California, which is like 40 miles north of where we are right now. But once the movie was done being made, Jordan Peele himself wanted the sets to be brought here that we could drive through them and appreciate the work of Ruth DeYoung. So Ruth DeYoung, she is a production designer for the Movie Nope. She designed those sets. She previously worked with Jordan Peele as a production designer on us, and she's been nominated for a bunch of awards. Emmy nominated for her work on the TV show Twin Peaks, an Academy Award nominated for her work on the movie Oppenheimer. The movie that got us our 11th Academy.
Evacuate.
So this is from the movie Sully, a Paramount picture starring Tom Hanks, all about Captain Sully, who safely landed a plane in the Hudson River. Now on your screens, this looked like it was filmed on location, right? It wasn't. This was filmed here at Universal Studios in Falls Lake. They filled up the filled up the concrete pit with water. They anchored a plane to the center of it. They had all those actors on the wings exiting the plane. Now some of you are like, well, how about that background of New York and New Jersey? What's that? Well, that's actually that big giant blue screen back there, right? So that blue screen is one of the world's largest freestanding blue screens. A lot of you know this technology by the name green screen technology, right? In post-production, a visual effects artist can actually remove the color blue. It's called keying that color out, and then replace it with whatever image is needed in order to match the production. And in this case, it was this kind of New York and New Jersey back there. Yeah. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, hold on a second, why do you use the color blue instead of the color green? In reality, we still use both, all right? Here, let's actually come up with a good example why. The movie Spider-Man, the original one starring Tobey Maguire. In that movie, what color is Spider-Man's suit? Red and blue, right? Yeah, so red and blue, good work. So if we're gonna do some visual effects with Spider-Man in front of a screen, we can't have him be in front of a blue screen, because when you key out the color blue, you lose the majority of Spider-Man's body, right? So we'll have him stand in front of a green screen. In that first Spider-Man movie, who's the main villain? Anybody remember? Green Goblin, good work. And what color is the Green Goblin? Green. So if we can do any visual effects with the Green Goblin, you can't have him stand in front of a green screen, because once you key out the color green, you're gonna lose that actor entirely. So that's why we use both the color blue and the color green. There you go. Alrighty, folks, well, that is it. That is the end of the studio tour. Thank you so much for joining us. You're a great group of people to hang out with. Hey, before we get you back to the park, will you all do me a favor and make a whole bunch of noise for our amazing driver?
Es la que mía de allá.
Di sini, pakai Transmart.